All right. Good morning and welcome to CEO to CEO. I'm David Swope, CEO and President of the Better Business Bureau. And joining me this morning is Tom Antram, CEO for French Funerals and Cremations. We like to use this episode to just kind of catch up with CEOs and their current challenges in the new market. So welcome this morning, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing great, David, other than a little cold. So I have this deep voice. We'll roll with that today.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people are dealing with a lot of sicknesses and of course, diseases and different things, which, sometimes wind up in death. And you want to go to a facility that you can trust and probably, trust is probably the number one factor in your industry.
Without a doubt. Without trust, we have nothing.
Right.
It's the balance of what we do. We're fortunate that we have a great legacy. And Mr. French starting this business in 1907 has helped aid that along the way. We're thinking right now about 120 years, which is very cool. And we'll celebrate that next year. And so really, being part of the community, giving back to the community, that helps build that trust. And we're people that we have our families here, we raise our children here.
Mm-hmm.
And I have something really cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty new for me for about a year now. Both of my daughters, who are adults, work for the company.
Oh, fantastic.
So my oldest daughter, Kaylee, is an advanced planner, so she helps families plan ahead.
Fantastic.
And my youngest daughter works at our pet cremation business, meeting families and helping them through that time with a pet loss.
Yes.
But she's actually in mortuary school, so I'm pretty pumped up about having both of my girls in the business and helping out as well.
Well, we'll talk after to see how I can get my girls to participate in the BBB.
All right.
One of them's in another state, so that's...
You can lasso her out there too.
That's absolutely true. So one of the things I talk with CEOs about is, and especially a business such as, you're even older than the BBB. French's.
Yes,
neither one of us were around at the start of that. So
I'm starting to look that way.
Yeah. But the new technology and AI is affecting a lot of business. How is it affecting French funerals and cremations?
Yeah, we were talking off air here. AI is everywhere, and I use it every day personally. It's a great tool, but it's also, you have to be careful of the way that it's used.
Absolutely.
And it can damage things. So specifically at French, we use AI daily with obituary writing. Obituaries sometimes is a stopgap for families. I don't know what to write. I don't know what to say. And so as we're gathering information that we need for the death certificate, when we need for the service details, we put it into our system, and we can literally click a button to generate at least a template obituary. And it uses AI to create that. And it takes the facts of the person's life, details like where they were born, who's the family, what organizations they belong to, and it puts it in that template. And we find that 85% of what it writes, spot on for the family's usage. The other 15%, that makes it easier for the family to adjust.
Exactly.
Saves a lot of time for them, helps us in our system. So it's a simple way to use AI. The other way that we touch it every day is we spent a lot of time feeding information into ChatGPT about our brand.
Oh.
So our mission, our vision, our values, who we are. We have what we call the Farewell's Fundamentals. Farewell's is our mother company that owns all the entities, French and the Cremation Society and Best Friends and Sunset Memorial Park. And so we have those fundamentals added in, and they're statements. They're kind of I believe statements or we do statements. And after we fed it all into the system, we created an HR tool for our managers at each of our entities to utilize. And what that HR tool does is it's as simple as going into ChatGPT, into our company system, and saying, I have a problem with David. He's not showing up to work promptly. Sorry, I keep throwing you under the bus.
It's like...
Yeah, he's going to get written up again. But when we enter this information, it'll give you conversation points. Here's how you should address a conversation with David about his attendance. And it ties back to our mission, our vision, our values. And so the conversation flows around who we are. And then if it progresses with an employee, we can get to the point of helping us assist with writing up. And the reason it's so important for our business and for many others is we have a lot of managers that are newer in management. And yes, we train them and we try to develop that, but sometimes they do things off script, so to speak, and it becomes a challenge. So we get them kind of locked in and loaded. They get the information going, and it helps them just have a standard conversation in a uniform way.
Well, Tom, I appreciate you sharing that with me because you were talking about operations and back office and a task that's difficult. I remember, my dad used to jokingly say, "I don't know how I feel today, but I read the obituaries and I'm not in there, so I must be still alive."
Amen.
And so, as things progress, certain things don't change. I mean, we all have an expiration date. One thing I really enjoy is how creatively you guys have been marketing and advertising. You're getting your ducks in a row. I mean, Alice gave me one of the little ducks,
That's good.
so she didn't know that it's turned into there's probably 12 ducks in my office now.
All right.
But now I noticed that you progressed, I mean, kind of more of a chess where,
Yes.
you get to plan your next move. And I think sometimes people see the finality. ALS is terrible, and seeing people die so quickly that don't have that time. But my wife and I have been talking a lot about retirement, what retirement's going to look like, and having that control, and also taking the burden off the family, right?
Exactly.
Because you get into a conversation with a quick death, and all of a sudden you're like, well, what did they want? I mean, I didn't necessarily know how they want to progress, and it's beyond just wills, but it's actually your final ceremony and how you want to be celebrated. I mean, I hope they throw a big party for me.
There you go.
I mean, I hope that I tried to bring joy and fun to most of the things in my life. But talk a little bit about the challenges that you face advertising and marketing your business.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear from a funeral home.
Right.
That's first and foremost, right?
Right.
And death is a taboo subject. And what we hear from so many people is, I'll do that later. And that's very common, and I understand it.
Right.
Because you don't want to think about your own demise. You don't want to think about where those things are. The other side that we hear a lot is just cremate me or put me in a pine box. And those statements may be what you want to do, but it doesn't help your family.
No.
And so we try to have the conversation. And sometimes our advertising is a little tongue in cheek. We've had some fun things over the years, not trying to be cute about it,
Right.
but trying to make people stop and think, maybe I need to think about death, my own death. I need to have this conversation because that's the part that we miss now.
Right.
100 years ago, I guarantee you people talked at the dinner table about death. They were surrounded by it.
Well, they didn't have TV and this constant social media embattlement, right?
Exactly.
Right.
So we need to bring that conversation back to the table.
Right.
And we see it even today. Most people wait until till they're of retirement age to even think about pre-planning. And,
Right.
and again, I understand that. But when they're getting into that conversation and thinking about what they want to do, they leave somebody else out, and that's the children or their extended family. And we need to bring those things in because what you say you want, I just put me in a pine box and put me in the ground. Maybe
Well,
very
we
different from
literally
what
can't do that,
your
right.
child needs, right?
Right.
So it's an important piece, and we try to advertise just to make people think about it.
Well, what I find fascinating is one, people are afraid of that conversation instead of we found in life. Sometimes when you take control of a situation, the fear dissipates. But I also go back to 25 years old, trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life, reading Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits.
Yep.
And what did I do? I wrote my obituary at 25.
Yep.
Now, I've revisited from time to time, but what really got me is my position here at the Better Business Bureau was a part of that. It was not called the BBB. It wasn't anything specific, but I was interested in entrepreneurial, and I wanted to start an entrepreneurial foundation. Well, the BBB is.
Nothing better,
we support entrepreneurs, but it helped me with the path because I'm sure your path wasn't straight either.
Nope,
in your
is.
career path, and to be in this position, and be able to actually help people have control of something that we feel is out of control.
Exactly.
Talk about, being able to combine that with the legacy of what the French family put together, and French Funerals and Cremations.
Well, the legacy is so strong. We talked about that earlier, and for me personally, my path was a winding path.
Yeah.
Funeral service was not my career path. I had a numerous different things that I thought I wanted to do. But you've heard me tell the story before. I answered an ad in the Daily Lobo to live above the mortuary, right on University Boulevard, and I would live there for free. Right. And my wife and I had gotten married in college, paying our own way, and so this was a great opportunity for us to do that. And hanging around my house, this was a chance to do multiple things in the business and get exposed to
Right.
caring for others. And I'll tie that back to the pre-planning piece again.
Yeah.
With the legacy of a company, yes, there's high trust. There's people know the brand by and large. If you're from Albuquerque,
Yes.
you've had experience with French at some point.
Yeah.
Planning ahead is such a critical factor for people. We think about our careers.
Right.
We go to school for certain things. We plan weddings. We plan our retirements.
Right.
All of those things come into
Right.
play, but we leave that one element out. And that's yet the most important, because grief, we talked earlier, again, off script, mental health right now is a mess.
Yes.
COVID played a part of it. Our society plays a part of it right now. We're very divisive across the board. But grief can be compounded. And we often say that grief shared is grief diminished. So when you hold your own grief, you don't have others to gather around and talk to and to share what your life story, or your father's life story, or your wife's life story, then you're not having that opportunity to gather with people to help diminish that grief.
Very true.
And so plan that ahead and make the wishes that you want to have known to your children, to your family, so that they can have some input. We've talked about it around our dinner table now, especially with my daughters in the business.
Right, exactly.
Carrie and I have had our pre-plans for a number of years. You would expect that, right? But we talk about it. My youngest daughter said, "I don't like what you've done." And we were like, "Well, this is what we chose." Well, she said, "That's not for you." And that's right. That's right. It's at the end of the day, it's for the living people. And we have to think about their grief and what's going to get them to where they need to be.
That's true. So I think what's important is, so it's a conversation.
Yeah.
And should be shared by all. Well, Tom, I appreciate you coming in this morning. Can you let the viewers know what's the best ways for them to connect with you?
You bet. You can go online and go to FrenchFunerals.com, or you can give us a call at any time, 505-843-6333 with any questions, comments. Please give us a holler. We'd love to help you out and plan your funeral as well.
Tom, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, David. Appreciate
And thank you all for tuning in. And just keep an eye on our YouTube channel for future CEO to CEOs. I'm David Swope, President and CEO of the Better Business Bureau, serving New Mexico and Southwest Colorado.